everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I am super, super excited to surrender to Michelle Chalfant today. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Pete.
Should I not put it that way? Pete. Is that weird? Is that weird?
It just got weird, I gotta say, but that's okay.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. I'm excited about this conversation. I feel I don't quite know what we're going to be talking about. I have a sense and I have stories. And so excellent. I figure I'm just going to roll with it.
Excellent.
We've got some updates. Before we get into that, head over to theadultchair.com, everybody. We'd super appreciate it if you would subscribe to the mailing list. And that's kind of a big deal now because for those who don't know, in 2017, we are doing some new things with this mailing list. In the Adult Chair mailing list, you can get lots of great content that you can't find anywhere else. We've got guest articles. We've got recipes, healing recipes. We've got wonderful posts and a free meditation for you to download from Michelle, a guided meditation every month. And so there is some great stuff coming out in this newsletter. We would really appreciate it if you would sign up and get the goodies and share it with your peeps. How about that?
And it's just once a month, right? Yes, it's just once a month. So
the
I don't like to inundate people with this kind of thing. So
no inundation. I hate that. But we really are
stand it.
Working so hard to create something of value and something that others can contribute to it. So it really is, I mean, we see it as an electronic magazine. We want to grow it to the point where we're really giving you something that you're looking forward to every single month, and something that you can save and archive and read when you need support and something to lean on. That's what we want to create here. So please sign up. You can head over to michellchalfant.com and add your name to our mailing list there and get the Adult Chair email newsletter. The other thing we have going on, and I'm pretty excited about this, and I want to hear your feedback now that it's been going for about a month, is we've created a private Facebook group. Do you want to tell people a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah. I just started this group about a month ago, and it's for people that want to learn, I would say, the Adult Chair at what's the word I want, Pete, like a more in-depth level or a deeper level, that really want to use this language and really want to learn how to use the Adult Chair in your daily life. So it's this private group.
It's like the Adult Chair as a practice, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
the Adult Chair as a practice. Adult Chair, yes. So you can write in, you can comment, and it's private, so nobody else on Facebook can see it, which I like. Right. Nobody will know that you're part of this list. So it's a real vulnerable, or it's a place where you can get vulnerable and ask real good questions. And for now, I'm sorry, but it's all women only. Sorry, Pete, but it's women only. Women only. And so if you want to learn more, if you want to support other women, if you want to feel supported, you need to get in this closed group. So Pete, how do I help these people who want to join?
I'll tell you, we've created a link. If you just go to michellchalfant.com/Facebook, it will deliver you right to the page. So michellchalfant.com/Facebook. But I'll also put the link in the show notes. So wherever you're listening to this show, if you're listening in a podcast app, just go over to the show notes or scroll up, and you'll see a link to the Adult Chair private Facebook group. You will have to be you're asking for permission to join. So you have to be a Facebook member, and you have to be approved. And Michelle is the one personally doing the approvals. So we're really trying to create something that becomes a real gift to those who want to delve deeper into the Adult Chair language. And it's been a great thing so far, kind of in its beta stage, and we're very excited to offer it to some more folks.
Yeah, I have a lot of people that ask me, where can we get more support? Are there other, therapists or coaches in my area that do this work? And there aren't, because this is something that's just, that you and I talk about. All of this language. So this is a way I think is a great way to help people feel supported. and learning and using this. So.
Well, and I love the idea that you don't have to feel alone. And that's, as much as you might think, oh God, Facebook, it's a haven for fake news and arguments and fighting against strangers on the internet. Well, that's not what this is about, right? This is a room off the main hall of Facebook. And it's really designed to give you a place where you don't have to fight with strangers on the internet. It's a place where when you walk in the door, it's expected that you're there to support one another and be supported.
Exactly. All
right. So look for the show notes there. In the show notes for the direct link there, again, michellchalfant.com/Facebook will take you straight to the group page and you can request to join. The last bit of business is that Michelle is going on the road. We've got a couple of road tours. You and Willie Nelson and Canned Heat. What is that? You're going to hit the road. You're going to do some farmhouse shows. It's in the field.
This one I'm so excited about. I mean, I'm excited about all of them, but the adult chair is hitting the road. We are coming to a city near you.
Well, we've got a couple of things going on. We've got some folks who have reached out from around the world, literally around the world, and said, "Hey, do you ever come by our way?" And so the message is yes. If there are people who want to learn about the adult chair, we would love to send Michelle there to teach it. And the groups that you need to create are not that big. We've got some already started. Michelle is leaving the warmth of hearth and home and traveling to the first set. We don't have the set on the website yet, but I'm going to take care of it. I promise. Maybe even by the time the show is live, you'll be able to go to the website and see. But what we really encourage you to do, we love this model. So if you are interested, and if you have a group of friends or peers that you think would be perfect for this message of the adult chair, and you think you have enough support to get a workshop together, put a workshop together. Reach out to us, and we'll get Michelle to your hometown. It doesn't take that much, and we'd love to share her with your city. How's that?
Share me.
How's that? How's the message?
You're really funny. That's perfect. Thank you.
I think it's
That's
great.
Perfect.
I'm very excited about it. So once again, on the website, just scroll down. It's probably Future Pete will likely have put this as a giant banner on the page, so you'll be able to just click right there and say, bring Michelle home. And we'll you'll have a place where you can add your name to the list or help get coordinate a adult chair workshop in your own city. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so. We're going to have a blast. I can't wait.
A blast. All right, let's have a blast. Let's surrender to our own blast today. Let's have a blast with surrender. I don't even know how to pivot there. What are we talking about? Where did this come from?
We're talking about the art of surrendering. And I call it an art because it's not easy. It really is something that we have to practice, much like meditation. And it's something that we do from our adult chair. And the reason it's from the adult chair is because when we surrender, it's first of all a conscious action that we're taking, and it's something that we choose. So again, when I use the language of being conscious and choosing, we're in that adult chair. And it's when we choose to let go of control. And oftentimes I tell people, so buckle into your adult, and then we wait for the outcome. We got to buckle into that adult chair because that the ego or there's a part of us inside that goes, oh my God, I need to control what's going on. I need to control that outcome. What if I don't? And there's all these voices that start up and take us out of that place. But it truly does bring, when we learn this, how to surrender and start practicing it, it really does bring more peace into our lives.
Okay, can you give me an example of what it means to surrender so I can make sure that my story actually is telling the story of what I think it means?
So surrendering is, here's what it's not.
Yeah,
if we look
that's
at our
probably
life
better.
path. Yeah. So if we look at our life path, surrendering is not, laying down on the life path, on our life path. It's not that. It's not giving up. That's not what I mean. It's like consciously dropping the reins. If you're riding a horse, it's like you're consciously dropping the reins and saying, okay, I'm just going to trust that this horse is going to get me wherever I need to go. Another way of looking at it is, I like this example too. If you're going down a little river and you've got your little boat and you got your paddles, drop the paddles and watch where the boat goes. And it's trusting that wherever the boat goes, even if it bumps into the side of the riverbed, even if it still is meant to be, and you're still going to turn out exactly where you need to be. Because what we remember from our adult chair versus the adolescent chair is that life is not supposed to turn out a certain way. Life is about having a series of experiences, one after the next, after the next, after the next. In the adolescent chair, when we're sitting there, that ego judges all of our experiences as good or bad. But in reality, nothing is good or bad as far as our experiences go. They're just experiences. Does that make sense when I say that? So when we surrender, we are surrendering, and and then, I'm using all this language from our adult chair. So when we surrender, okay, because there's great power in this, we learn to see life from a brand new perspective. Again, adult chair, we're in a new perspective. We realize that life is simply a series of examples, and when we can observe them and get curious about what's happening next, instead of being tied to them or having expectations, again, we land in peace. We sit with much more peace when we're not expecting this or that to happen. We're dropping the reins, we're letting go of control. Does that help you with your examples?
Can I share my story and you can tell me, because I've been in a place of trauma, and when I heard the word surrender and now I'm hearing your story, it makes absolute sense to me, right? It feels very natural. So here's my story of trauma, and it's kind of a nerd story. So bear with me for a minute, right? So I have for those who don't know, I am, in addition to being Michelle's partner in podcasting, I'm also a photographer. And I have been a photographer in some capacity for 15 years or more. My background was in journalism, and so I've been a photographer really all my life, professionally for money for the last 12 years or so. And I have a large storage array, a big disk that plugs into my computer, and it has all of my raw original photography over the last, however many years. All of it is on this drive. And this summer, I came back from a 2-week vacation, and I tried to plug in this drive, and for the first time in as long as I've had it, it said failed to mount. So that's not a good thing. It also has all my historical client activity and everything. I mean, it's got my whole life is really on there. And it's a storage array, which means there are multiple drives in there, and it's constantly moving data around so that I can literally pull out one individual drive and put a new one in if it fails, and everything's fine. I don't lose any data. But this time, the whole unit failed. It's called a Drobo, right? The Drobo failed. Wow. So I reached out to the Drobo team, and their engineering team started helping me out, and they're in the middle of trying to help me out, but I was paralyzed, Michelle. I was absolutely paralyzed, and as such, I didn't take any pictures. I haven't taken pictures. I hadn't taken any pictures since I got back from that trip and discovered it. I thought this is it. My entire career as a photographer is gone. And to give you a sense of scale and scope, I mean, the number of photos that were on there that were impacted is around 91,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And it was, it was devastating. And I went through as many of the stages of grief as you can imagine. It is essentially my photographic career. And over the holidays, I started trying to process this. And again, I hadn't taken out the camera for anything personal since then, since summer. I just couldn't bring myself to take any new pictures after I've what's the use? I'm just going to lose them, right? That kind of experience. I was mad. I felt like I was very much operating in the child chair, right? I was just throwing a tantrum. And then it hit me over the holidays. I don't actually know what the trigger was, but I kind of let it go. And I said, you know what? The only way to move forward is to assume that they're all gone, that there is no way to rebuild. But what I am left with is the last 15 years of experience as a photographer. And that I can't lose. right? That they can't take away from me. So the only way to move forward is to A, get a new drive, and B, start taking more pictures. And so I kind of regrouped, and I'm one of those people. I do this daily photo project. I'd done it for years, and I hadn't done it at all in 2016, but I started doing it again. And here we are on day 12 as we record this. We're a little bit early, but I've been posting every day, a new published photo every day, and I'm trying to do that. Now, I give you that whole story because I describe that experience of the holiday experience of coming to terms with the loss of my career of work, my body of work, as a surrender. And it was only when I started using that term that it began to feel real and natural and I think fluid. That I could move through it.
Wow. I'm so sorry about your pictures though. Wow. I can only imagine. I mean, wow.
God, it was just
91,000.
91,000. And it includes, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start. I mean, family photos, client photos, personal photos, art photos, large art prints that I've worked on for, that I would spend a year on, touching up and photoshopping and composites, and all the work of a photographer is built into these large raw photo libraries, and they were all gone. And the saddest part is, this is not a plea to everybody to back up your stuff, but I had so much data on this drive. I'm signed up with an online backup service that's supposed to take care of all this, right? So I have a backup in my house and I have a backup online, but the drive was so big that the online backup service hadn't reached my photos directory yet on the drive. Wow. So if you know what that, like, it just literally hadn't gotten there yet. It was backing up Final Cut Pro projects and movie project client activity, and it hadn't gotten to my photos. So I had all the systems in place to support me here. I just didn't have time on my side. Like, eventually it would have been okay. I could have lost this entire drive and everything would have been fine. I had to surrender to that, to let go of it. And that was as much an intellectual exercise, an exercise of being able to look at the technology in front of me and say, I'm okay, I can move forward, as it was an exercise of my heart, that I had to get over the fact that, whether I lost 91,000 photos, I'm still a photographer.
Right.
And that was crushing and also illuminating, I think, is the word.
Isn't that amazing? And I mean, one thing that I can't stand it when people say this in the moment when we're in crisis like that, but if we wait, that's the key word one of the key words in the adult chair is waiting, not rushing, waiting and not being impulsive, but waiting. Mm-hmm. We eventually find a new truth and find the gift. Not that this was a huge gift that, oh great, I'm so glad I lost these photos, but you were able to step into, well, wait a minute, I'm still a photographer. I've got all those experiences that nobody can ever take away from me. I've still got that. So, and it's only something that we can do on the inside. People could say to you, oh, you're going to be okay. But you had to choose to surrender and let it go. And then you drop back into peace. And now you're back taking pictures again. And that's a great example. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I feel like I've been kind of longing to talk to you about it for that reason. Like, if anybody is going to appreciate this, it's you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure. Yeah. And when we get in that practice of surrendering over and over, we just got to keep letting go, because, man, that ego in the adolescent chair, it wants to grab onto everything and make up stories. And why did this happen? And if we had only done it this way, and then we beat up on ourselves, it's like all of that goes away when we drop in and surrender. It's like, how's the chatter in your head now? And maybe it comes back sometimes, but are you in agony every day?
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. It's actually quite remarkable that I wake up in the morning. And now it's an exercise. It really is an exercise of technology. The process of, the process of trying to recover data, like the last thing that the people at Drobo said, the engineer level 3 said, was, if this next thing doesn't work, we're out of ideas. Right? These are the people who made the technology. They are out of ideas. And so what I've come to is, like, this is an exercise in in technology intellectually. Like now I'm more intellectually curious about, is there a way for me to recover anything in spite of the smartest people in the room telling me they're out of ideas, and not an exercise of emotion of I have to get these back or my professional life is over.
So you've let it go. When we let go of control, this is what can happen. So I like that. So now you're logically saying, I wonder if there's a way, which again, it's still all in your adult.
Yeah.
But that panic, and when we're in that place of not surrendering, physically speaking, we're tight, our muscles get tight, we have rapid heartbeat. When we get attached to the outcome and we have expectations about how something should look, is where we get ourselves in trouble.
Right.
It's not that we don't, we want to have intention, we want to have ideas, we want to make plans, but it's when we attach to the outcome when we get in trouble. It's supposed to look like this. And when we start using the words should or supposed to, hello, adolescent Sharon, that's where we're back in control mode again.
Right.
So we want to start letting go. Like I would prefer that the outcome looks like this, but I'm going to let go and see how it turns out. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I have an example too. I was thinking about this earlier. Our older son went to college, so we don't need this house. We'd like to get like a smaller house closer to town, closer into downtown area now. And in August, I had called a realtor that lived in the neighborhood, and I just asked her if, like, hey, I said, I was just curious. I wasn't planning on selling the house or anything, but I said I was just curious, how are the prices? I haven't really checked into that in a while. I was just curious what we could get for the house, probably next year, not right now because we still have a son in high school, but maybe next year. And she said, oh my God, your house would sell in a heartbeat, and I happen to have a buyer for you. I said, oh, like right now? It was so random. And I was like, now? And she said, yes. Can I show your house? And I said, well, we're not ready. I'm not even ready. And she said, I'll give you a week and, can you show it then? And I thought, oh my God. So I was like, wow. So, there's that part of me that, people really, sometimes spiritual people will go, it's meant to be, this is all lined up. And I was like, well, is this how it's supposed to happen? And I really got in my head about it. Like, well, I guess we're supposed to sell it now. So let's get it ready. So we, in 1 week, got it ready. And had, handymen and contractors. And my mom came in, like, we were all like, wow, and showed the house to this family. And they, were here for an hour and a half and loved it and put an offer in. Like,
oh my goodness.
And it was a great offer. Like, I thought, oh my God. And I had this battle in my head, of course, sitting in the adolescent was like, you got to take that offer. That's crazy. But my heart was like, but where are we going? Like, we don't.
Yeah, right.
And here's the thing. Is it in the flow? Like, what's in the flow? Do we move now? Do we move next year? We took on a foreign exchange student. So now we have another child here. We kind of really want to downsize. So it's like, well, I was really like, I don't know what to do. So I sat with it and sat with it and sat with it. And I just kept surrendering because my brain, that ego made up so many assumptions and stories. Like, well, you got to do it because of this. You got to do it because of that. You got to do. So we ended up not taking the deal because I couldn't find anything else to move into. There's nothing on the market. So
right.
So our new thought is, our foreign exchange student leaves in May. So why don't we put the house on the market maybe, during the spring? And I got a letter from that same realtor today. She sends it to everyone in the neighborhood.
Sure.
Price, house price values are going down. And my anxiety went right through the roof for like 2 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, we should have sold it. What the hell was I thinking? And I'm beating up on myself. And I was and the noise in my head got so loud and judging of me. And now we've got to get it on the market. And we're going to have to put all new hardwood floors in. I'm like, all these things, and I sat there and I surrendered. And I'm like, I don't know. Like the fact, I look around and I'm like, well, according to what she's saying, the home values have gone down, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I thought, it doesn't matter. It wasn't time for us to sell. I'm going to surrender all these voices. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to keep moving forward. We're not going to sell unless we get the price we want. And I'm moving on.
That's right.
And I was done. Like I was done. I let go of control. I let go of the fear, all those voices. I listened to the voices and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone that's chiming in. And it's okay. I'm going to surrender. And I'm just going to, stay on course with selling the house in the spring, and we'll just see what happens. I don't know. We're going to have another experience in the spring, and we'll see what that is. But it was hard. Like I was not as dramatic as yours, of course, but it was like, oh shit, why didn't we sell the house? We should have sold the house. This was crazy. We had such a great offer. Blah, blah. I'm like, we're going to get another great offer, and there's that other voice that comes in. But it's all this mental ping pong game going back and forth and who's going to win. When you surrender, it's a full body experience from our adult chair. It's very different.
That's the feeling. That is the feeling that's different than just a rational awareness, right? Than just making a logical conclusion. When you surrender, you can feel it. That is exactly my experience. Like this was such a profound experience of loss that there was no other way to experience than sort of full body.
Exactly, and then the brain shuts down and stops chiming in, and the ping pong game in the brain just stops. There is no more chiming in because you have a new truth. It's like, I'm really okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. So, I think about how we have such a hard time surrendering when we, again, have an outcome and we think it's supposed to look like this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we want to direct everyone to make sure it looks like that outcome that I'm looking at down the road. It's got to look like that. It's like, no. How we get to that outcome, and if that outcome ever looks like that, who knows? Who knows? So we set the intention and let it go. And then let the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, free will, all of that just sort of manifest, and let's see what happens. And then it's sort of like we're on a roller coaster ride. We buckle in and we're just sort of enjoying the ride. I wouldn't enjoy the ride on a roller coaster, but let me go back to the boat analogy. Then I'm just in the boat. I don't like roller coasters, but in the boat, I drop the paddles and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a really pretty ride. It can either be this. It can either be a really lovely ride down the river and I get to see all this lovely scenery and have all these new experiences until I get to the end of wherever I'm going, or I'm going to paddle like hell against the stream thinking I know where I'm going, paddle, be exhausted, trying to make the boat go in a certain, take a certain course. And I'm exhausted. I've got anxiety. It just doesn't feel good. It really feels so much better when we can surrender. It might take a little bit of time, like it did with you, like it did with me. But once we do, like you said, and I said, it's a full body experience. The brain quiets and then we land in peace.
It's funny. It makes me think about holiday travel because, you could jump on any of the social platforms and hearing people and their travel experiences and delays and cancellations and all these things. And I am generally a terrible traveler. I have to be so aware and so present of how I am responding to the world when I'm, running through, O'Hare or something, trying to make a connection this makes me really kind of resonate on this idea of surrendering to the experience. I know that I am generally uncomfortable with schedules and deadlines on airplanes and trains and things. And yet, if I stop and I surrender to it, I'm likely to make all my connections. It turns out I didn't have to be stressed. I could just get there and not have to be stressed at the time, as long as I make the choice to do so. And B, I generally will have a story. And the odds of me actually having a cancellation and not being able to work out logistics to figure out a way to get to my destination, or to find another way to get to my destination, or to, hey, take out a book and read for a bunch of hours while I'm stranded in an airport. Like, all of those things are okay. They're not good or bad. They just are. And I have to keep saying that over and over. There are no good or bad experiences, just the way I relate to them.
And you made a great point too. Like, you're so stressed and everything. And when we're that stressed, it takes us out of the flow. Mm-hmm. You're completely out of the flow. And it's so, you made me think of something. So my husband travels all the time, and my father-in-law used to travel all the time for work. My father-in-law has all these stories of, he hates flying, and this person, and he's pissed at that person, and he missed a flight, and he got wedged between two people that were too big, and he's in the middle seat, and he has horrific travel stories. But he would be stressed and uptight well, he is a lot, but especially with travel and cranky and the whole bit, totally out of the flow. My husband, he'll get to the airport like 10 minutes before the flight. Oh, and he's not stressed. He stresses me out how he makes it so close. And he'll say, oh yeah, I got there, but the flight was full, but they had to put me in first class. That happens to him all the time, but he's very relaxed about it. Doesn't care, enjoys traveling, no big deal. It's just whatever, very relaxed in the flow. So it fascinates me. I get mad sometimes because I try to be that in the flow when I travel, but I'm in the middle of it. It is hard, especially when you've got a tight schedule. And again, even if we miss the flight, that's an experience. And if we can surrender to it, you never know what's going to happen. Maybe it's you get another hour to read, or maybe you meet someone, or maybe someone grabs your business card and hires you for something, or maybe you see your best friend that you hadn't seen since childhood. Maybe we don't know what's coming for us.
Right.
We don't know what the universe has in store for us. And maybe it's intentional. Everything is that we miss the flight.
Yep. I mean, you just sit down and have a chance to have some tea and meditate and take the time in a space you've never experienced before.
Exactly. Exactly.
So just as we wrap up, what is your, give some guidance on how you might coach someone who struggles with surrendering to be more present in the experience of surrendering. Because I know from my experience, I had to actually go through this sort of career trauma, with this stupid hard drive crash to actually find a source. But is there a way I can sort of live my life in a space that avails me to the experience of surrendering more often?
And I just want to point that out, what you just said. Okay. You had that's a terrible experience that you had. Or here, I'm even judging it, saying it was terrible, right? It was just an experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But here's a high perspective. I believe that our souls come in for the experience of various emotions. So we didn't come in to have this neutral or just a happy life. We long for peace. I know we all do, but our souls come in and go, hey, I want to experience devastation. I want to experience forgiveness. I want to experience responsibility. I want to experience fear. The list goes on and on. So how wonderful. Your soul is probably jumping up and down saying, wow, we experienced devastation. Moving on to the next one. Now what do I want to experience? It's just an experience. Right. Now, the ego comes in and judges it and saying it was a bad experience. But I would wonder what your soul might say, oh, this is so cool. I've never felt devastation before. Now I got it. So, the first step is, if you're stuck and you really want to surrender, is to allow yourself to have the emotions that you're having. If I had, it's funny, I was talking to my sister today and she was furious about something and I just sat and listened. It was not time for me to say, I think you might want to surrender because you're in such a bad place. She would have punched me in the face.
She would have ripped your head off. Yeah.
She would have. So step one, allow yourself to feel all of the emotions that you're having, all of them, and be in it. Don't stop them from coming through. That's where we, first of all, get stuck, is we stop the emotions. We mentally say, I shouldn't feel this way, or I'm angry, and we get stuck in anger, but really, what else is it other than anger? There are other emotions. So allow yourself to have all those moments of having the emotions. Then we move into a place when we're more calmed down. And then we can start asking ourselves again from our adult chair, we would ask, so wait a minute. So what's fact? What's truth about what's going on right now in this moment? And then we can get a little bit more clarity. And that helps us to drop back into our body. Just asking what's true. So you lost all those files, right? Or all your photos. And so what's true? So you lost the photos. Okay.
That's it. That's all. That's all.
There's nothing else to say. Yeah. It's and I'm really devastated. Okay. What else?
Are you asking me? Yeah. No,
I don't know. I'm thinking, nothing really. It's like, okay.
The implication or the emotional part, right, is, what I lost is my retirement, right? The whole idea behind this archive of 91,000 photos is that, as I get older, I'm able to start selling more prints and, essentially when I can't move or work or take photos anymore, I can sell them and still put food on the table, right? That's the whole idea. So in a very real and practical way, I am tuned to think of that as essentially I just was robbed by fate. Fate
so that's
time.
A whole other set of emotions that you had to sit with. Like the word that comes to my mind as I step into what you're feeling, I'm thinking, I don't know, is devastation. Like I can't even, it just wiped you out. But then it's like, okay, so then when I bring myself back, it's like, so what is true? Well, I've lost the photos for retirement income. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is true? Well, I'm still able to work now. I can start building them up again. I mean, all of these things are true. And then that settles us down. It calms us down, brings us back into our body. And then surrendering, much like forgiveness, which we've talked about on another show, I think, we can choose it, but it's something that comes up from the inside. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? I'm going to choose to surrender this right now. So does that help you? Like, does that help?
No, totally.
It's letting yourself feel the feelings and then finding out what's true.
I think that's the message, and that's what I was shooting for, because I don't want people to walk away saying, well, this is surrendering is great if you've gone through exactly what Pete's gone through, or if you've gone through exactly what Michelle's gone through. That's not really the message. The message is you can go through these kinds of things, and if you are aware of your experience and the experiences you're having right now, it's okay, no matter what you face, to surrender to it, to surrender to the space. That's what I was kind of going for.
You never know. I mean, we have an idea of what different outcomes are supposed to look like. And if we surrender, oftentimes the outcomes are so much of the time, the outcomes turn out even better than we ever dreamed. So I would say that your thing is still not over. You just never know. You never know.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right. It's
and even
still
mine.
Not over.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
It's wonderful. I love this conversation. And you thought we were going to talk for 10 minutes and be out of here.
I know.
This is good stuff. This is great stuff.
It does take really good practice, though. It does. And you've got to remind yourself, okay, maybe this is a time that I need to surrender. I want to do things like this, and it's turning out like that. So I'm going to let it go, Yeah,
that's it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Done.
All right. Head over to MichelleChalfant.com, and you can, once again, you can sign up for the newsletter. We would love you to join us for the monthly Michelle magazine online. There's the MichelleChalfant.com/Facebook will get you to the private group. And don't forget to add your name to the list of bringing Michelle to your town. We would love to share her. Thanks, everybody. On behalf of Michelle Chalfant, I'm Pete Wright. We'll catch you next time right here in the Adult Chair.